The day we realized we had already lost the war was not the day the human fleets appeared in our skies. It was not the day our capital worlds burned, nor the moment our stargates collapsed into silent ruins. It was far earlier, on a day we barely noticed, when a fragile blue world sent a single, cautious transmission into the void, and we laughed at the time. I was Supreme Strategic Archivist of the Valerian Dominion, keeper of military history across 6,000 conquered systems. I had witnessed the rise and extinction of civilizations, the slow grinding collapse of empires, and the birth of wars so vast they reshaped spiral arms. Nothing in the galaxy truly surprised me anymore. So when the automated sensors reported a newly discovered species broadcasting electromagnetic signals from a minor yellow star, I treated it as routine. The file was thin. Species designation: human. Homeworld: Sol 3. Technological level: pre-FTL. Estimated time to interstellar capability: 300 to 500 cycles. Threat classification: negligible. The Council did not even convene. No emergency session. No strategic debate. No concern. The humans were categorized, logged, and forgotten. That single act, forgetting them, would doom us all to T first. The humans were little more than a scientific curiosity. Their physiology was unimpressive. Fragile skeletons, inefficient respiration, short lifespans, weak natural defenses. Their homeworld was hostile by galactic standards, a chaotic planet racked by tectonic instability, violent storms, microbial plagues, and predator-rich ecosystems. Most species would have collapsed within a few generations under such conditions. The humans, instead, thrived. They did not merely survive adversity, they evolved alongside it. Their early transmissions revealed a species obsessed with conflict, exploration, and narrative. They documented their wars, their failures, their disasters, and, most disturbingly, their capacity for self-reflection. They studied their own mistakes with relentless intensity. They archived pain, dissected catastrophe, and turned suffering into instruction. We saw this and concluded it would destroy them. We were wronged. By the time they achieved faster than light travel, the humans had already unified their fractured planetary factions, not through conquest, but through exhaustion. They had warred so thoroughly, so destructively, that no illusion of glory remained. Unity, for them, was not idealism. It was survival. When their first exploration vessel crossed into Valerian-controlled space, our patrol fleet intercepted it within minutes. The human ship was small, inefficient, and laughably underarmed. Its defensive shields barely met civilian transport standards. Their captain responded with politeness, formal greeting protocols, and immediate compliance. They requested peaceful contact, but we granted it, mostly for entertainment. The delegation that arrived on our frontier station was underwhelming. Soft-skinned, slow-moving, biologically inefficient. Their eyes constantly scanned their surroundings, absorbing every detail. They spoke carefully, with restrained curiosity, never interrupting, never challenging. Their diplomats listened far more than they spoke. Our representatives mistook this for submission. They offered trade agreements, resource access, technological sharing, protection treaties. Each proposal heavily favored the Dominion. The humans accepted nearly every term with minimal resistance. Their only requests were for data, engineering access, and limited military observation rights. We saw no danger in granting them. Within decades, human presence spread quietly throughout our systems. They became engineers, analysts, technicians, medical specialists, logistics planners. They volunteered for hazardous labor zones where few other species could endure prolonged exposure. Their casualty rates were high, catastrophically so, yet their recruitment never slowed. They rebuilt shattered stations, repaired ancient shipyards, stabilized failing reactor cores. Wherever survival was least likely, humans appeared. We called them resilient. We did not understand what that truly meant. When the Dominion required disposable infantry for border conflicts, human regiments were deployed. Their initial losses were extreme. Entire battalions vanished during early engagements. Commanders reported suicidal bravery, reckless charges, and stubborn resistance far beyond logical parameters. Yet each time they returned, they adapted. They modified armor, redesigned weapon calibrations, developed decentralized command structures that allowed units to operate independently when leadership fell. They created mobile battlefield hospitals, rapid evacuation protocols, and emergency reinforcement strategies that reduced fatality rates drastically. Within 50 cycles, human survival statistics outperformed nearly every species in the Dominion military. Still, no one was alarmed. After all, they were fighting our wars. What we failed to realize was that humans do not fight merely to win. They fight to learn. Every engagement became a lesson. Every defeat became data. Every casualty became doctrine. Their military academies processed combat telemetry at a scale previously reserved only for planetary defense AIS. Tactical simulations ran continuously, evolving with every new scenario. They recorded enemy behavior patterns, command hierarchies, political responses, psychological collapse indicators. They studied us quietly, relentlessly. Their scientists requested access to obsolete warship hulls for dismantling. They reverse-engineered shield generators, propulsion systems, energy weapons, nanofabricators. Their researchers worked alongside our own engineers, asking questions that seemed naive, then later revealed frightening depth. They were not merely understanding how our technology functioned. They were understanding why it functioned that way. Human manufacturing centers began appearing on distant industrial worlds. Small at first, then larger, then planetary. They insisted on full oversight, security autonomy, and internal governance. The Dominion allowed it. Why waste resources supervising harmless laborists? Human population centers expanded at astonishing rates. Their reproduction cycles were rapid. Their colonization adaptability extreme. They settled high-gravity worlds, toxic atmospheres, radiation-drenched systems. Where other species required extensive environmental modification, humans simply adapted their infrastructure, and themselves. They did not terraform planets. They endured them. In the military archives, I began noticing anomalies. Human regiments assigned to different theaters exhibited strikingly similar tactical evolution patterns. Separate fleets began employing identical strategic doctrines without centralized coordination. It suggested either an unprecedented level of intercommunication or a unified strategic intelligence far beyond standard military networking. When I raised this concern, my superiors dismissed it. They are mimicking us, they said. That is all inferior species can do. Then came the suppression campaigns. Slave revolts erupted across multiple systems. Entire mining populations rose against Dominion overseers. The rebellions were unnaturally coordinated, featuring tactics previously unknown among these species. Supply lines were sabotaged. Orbital defenses compromised. Communication relays hacked. Human mercenary units were dispatched to contain the uprisings. They did, but afterward, rebellion frequency increased. In secret investigations, we uncovered that humans had been subtly teaching insurgents advanced tactics, emergency medical care, encrypted communications, and battlefield coordination. They framed it as humanitarian aid, survival training, disaster preparedness. Our intelligence agencies flagged this as ideological contamination, not military threat. Again, we underestimated them. The silence lasted exactly 4 minutes, across a civilization that spanned tens of thousands of star systems. That span of time was meaningless, a statistical flicker, a rounding error in chronometric models. Yet in those 4 minutes, the Valerian Dominion ceased to exist as a functioning empire. Every quantum relay went dark. Every subspace corridor destabilized. Every deep space sensor grid collapsed into incoherent static. Fleets lost contact with command. Planetary defense networks froze mid-calculation. Automated shipyards halted assembly cycles and locked themselves behind sealed protocols no one could override. We did not understand what was happening, we only understood that it was happening everywhere. The first confirmed human strike occurred in the border system of Thalos Prime, a major logistics hub, heavily fortified, shielded by layered orbital platforms and defended by 3 capital fleets. Standard doctrine dictated that any assault on Thalos would require months of sustained bombardment and catastrophic losses. The humans destroyed it in 6 minutes. They did not appear from hyperspace. They unfolded from it, space itself distorted as thousands of vessels emerged from microfolded dimensions, bypassing conventional detection thresholds. Their ships were unlike anything our databases contained, sleek, asymmetrical, covered in modular plating that rearranged itself in real time. Energy signatures shifted continuously, preventing targeting locks. Propulsion systems left no observable wake. Before Thalos could raise full defensive shields, the humans deployed autonomous drone swarms. Millions of them. Each no larger than a cargo pod, each carrying independent targeting systems, adaptive shielding, and precision warheads. They did not fire randomly. Every drone had a purpose. Orbital platforms were dismantled component by component. Shield generators were neutralized with surgical strikes. Command vessels lost navigation, weapons, and life support systems simultaneously. Human cyber infiltration routines overwhelmed Dominion AI cores in seconds, rewriting their operational logic into total paralysis. When the human fleet departed, Thalos Prime still existed. But it was helpless, and the humans had already moved on. Within the first hour, 17 major systems fell. Within 6 hours, our entire frontier collapsed. Panic rippled through Dominion command. Emergency war protocols were enacted. Fleets scrambled to regroup. Strategic reserves mobilized. But without communication, coordination disintegrated. Each system fought blind, unaware of what had already been lost. Human attack patterns defied prediction. They did not target our strongest positions. They targeted our most vital ones, power generation nodes, shipyard hubs, data nexus worlds, industrial manufacturing rings, warp gate junctions, civilian population centers critical to economic stability. Their goal was not conquest, IT was paralysis. Where our doctrine relied on centralized command and overwhelming force, theirs relied on distributed intelligence and cascading systemic failure. They dismantled us not by crushing fleets, but by unraveling the web that allowed those fleets to function. Diane the Varkesh system, a human task force disabled 6 planetary reactors without a single casualty. On Helia, they hacked orbital elevators, severing surface-to-orbit transport and stranding entire defense regiments planet-side. On Karseith, they shut down atmospheric processes, forcing planetary evacuation within hours. They knew exactly where to strike. They knew exactly how much force to apply, and they knew exactly when to stop. Human fleets never lingered. They appeared, executed flawlessly timed assaults, and vanished before counterattacks could be organized. Our commanders reported a terrifying phenomenon: predictive evasion. Human ships maneuvered away from incoming fire before weapons were discharged, as if anticipating decisions before they were consciously made. Later analysis revealed the truth. Their AI systems did not merely calculate trajectories. They modeled minds. Centuries of psychological data, cultural profiling, and command behavior studies had allowed them to predict Dominion tactical responses with staggering accuracy. Every admiral, every fleet commander, every strategist had been reduced to a mathematical probability matrix. We were no longer individuals, we were equations. As panic spread, the Dominion Council finally convened. Emergency measures authorized unrestricted force deployment. Planet killer class weaponry prepared. Total war declared. We never fired a single planet killer. Human cyber warfare crippled their activation sequences before firing protocols could be completed. In desperation, we launched a counteroffensive against human space. Thousands of warships surged towards Sol-controlled systems, determined to bring the war to their homeworld. None reached their destination. The edge of human territory, the void itself seemed to rebel. Gravitational anomalies twisted navigation systems. Subspace corridors fractured. Entire fleets were torn apart by spatial turbulence. Those that survived encountered layered defense grids so dense they resembled artificial nebulae, shifting walls of energy, matter, and autonomous weapons moving in incomprehensible patterns, human territory was no longer merely defended, IT was weaponized. Their core systems were encased within concentric rings of adaptive fortifications, mobile battle platforms, and stealth patrols. Each layer responded dynamically, reshaping itself to counter every tactic we deployed. No static defense network could match such fluidity. Our losses mounted. Then came the broadcasts. Across all surviving communication channels, human transmissions began appearing, not propaganda, not threats, but records, historical footage, visual archives of their wars, their famines, their genocides, their planetary disasters, their near extinctions. They showed us their nuclear firestorms, their biological plagues, their ecological collapses. They displayed ruined cities, starving populations, mass graves, children in radiation shelters. This, their message stated calmly, is what we survived. Then came footage of their recovery, rebuilding, medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration, social reformation. They showed how each catastrophe forged new resilience, new unity, new resolve. This, the message continued, is what we learned. Finally, they transmitted recordings of their centuries under Dominion rule. Human labor camps, hazard zones, disposable infantry deployments, casualty lists stretching into the billions, quiet suffering, silent endurance. This, they concluded, is what you taught us. Across countless worlds, morale collapsed. Slave populations erupted into rebellion. Human agents, long embedded within these societies, coordinated synchronized uprisings. They supplied weapons, medical support, tactical advisors. Entire sectors declared independence overnight. The Dominion fractured from within. In system after system, our fleets faced not one enemy, but many. Former subjects turned on their overseers. Defense stations were sabotaged from the inside. Supply lines evaporated. Human fleets arrived not as conquerors, but as catalysts. They struck only where necessary, leaving liberated systems in the hands of their former victims, and always, their message was the same: we do not rule. We remove those who do. As Supreme Strategic Archivist, I was relocated to the Mobile Command Citadel, attempting to maintain coherence amid chaos. But the data was undeniable. Our war models collapsed. No predictive algorithm could adapt quickly enough. Every strategy we deployed had already been countered before it was conceived. Then came the fall of Valeria. Our capital system was the most heavily defended region in known space. A fortress of stargates, lead shield arrays, and orbital megastructures. We believed it untouchable. Human fleets did not breach it. They bypassed it.